So any more discussion on that? Are we considering that or what?
No.
No, okay, because I know they were very expensive.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so Columbia is going to get back in touch with you to see how we're going to do
The
this?
procedures for curbside
Okay.
voting.
Okay.
Any other discussion? Having none, I'm going to move to overview of disaster and emergency preparedness manual by Chair Williams.
Okay. Just wanted to go over what we already have put in order. We had storm last week, and I'm not sure if the disaster plan that we had would have sufficed during that storm. I know I had called about having the windows boarded for the election office.
You had called about,
Having the windows boarded.
oh,
Ward's Place because of the new machines that are in there and whatnot. If the water came in, it would have destroyed some of the machines. But that's about it. Is there anything that we need to add to this disaster plan?
I just wanted to go over with the board what Frank Edwards from the emergency service, what his input was from the emergency service. In your packet, I included that the plan, and on page 3 of the plan, it was his suggestion to use 911 instead of direct telephone numbers, so that was updated in your plan. And on page 4 of the plan, at the bottom where it says prepare office for possible high waters, he wanted to remove the language about taping windows. He said that does not do any good for hurricanes. So that language was taken out of the plan. And on page 6 of your plan, item D, he suggested that we add in there that staff will contact the National Guard and county emergency personnel if needed. So we added that into that sentence. Okay. And on page 7 of your plan, under the power failure at precincts, item B, he asks that we add a contractor will come out and turn off the drain, return off and drain the fire sprinkler and standpipe systems. So that's something we just added in there as well. So those were basically the changes that Mr. Frank Edwards had to the plan, and we added the floor plans of the office to the plan as well. So that was it.
Janine, do we have sprinklers in our system?
Do we have?
Sprinklers in our office? I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
You should add that to the request where you do the office. High in the sky.
And I have given the finance director the list of our new voting system to ensure that it is covered under the county's insurance plan.
Excuse me, make it a dry system. Should be a dry system.
Absolutely.
So if we should have a disaster and the machines we should be able to file a claim. So, yeah, received that information yesterday.
And so you say you have received something back about the insurance?
No, I presented her with the
Yesterday.
inventory.
Okay. And suppose, they would have to cover us if anything happens to the insurance. Or if that's not the case, do we get our own insurance for the equipment?
Well, I presented it to him at the Tuesday supervisors meeting that we needed to look into that, because again, we never had it.
Mhm.
You know, we only dealt with a preventive maintenance with ES&S,
Mhm.
and that surely is not going to cover anything being torn up. So
Did you
I
get,
still
did
let
you
me know on the process.
And so I guess, is there a turnaround time? Will they get back in touch with you about that?
Well, she just got it yesterday, and she's on vacation, won't be back till next week sometime, so.
So we didn't even think about putting that in the budget.
Well, it should fall up under the county insurance plan,
Okay.
and that's what she's checking
Okay.
into. Any other questions about the disaster plan?
Having none, I'll move down to discussion on preparing the 10-year plan. John?
Okay. Mr. Chairman, a while back, I think 3 or 4 meetings back, I asked that when we were doing the discussion of budget, I said we should prepare a 10-year plan to use to budget, because every time I've been to a budget, first thing they ask for is a plan. And with the growth that we're having, we need that 10-year plan. We need to know, first of all, where precincts should be or could be, and then start an inventory of potential places to be. Also, to be able to go to Hardyville and to Jasper and say, when you have these agreements, please include use of areas for precincts. If you looked at the registration totals for this month, we had 163. That's coming, if we continue to do that, we're going to be at the extra 44,000 employee population in 10 years that has been forecast. So it's coming upon us quickly. I've been through, when we had the 2 new precincts that we were looking at, it was like pulling teeth to get somebody to get into a place that had a proper ADA area and all that. And we just don't have the places in Jasper County. So we need to do it now, so we're prepared. So I've started it, but I would hope that we just continually doing that, and maybe every one of us create a plan of their own, and then we can put it together sometime. It's not we have a year to do it, so it's a very simple thing, but I think we start now planning for the future.
There was a 5-year plan at one time, but it wasn't for, it was a guesstimate on population growth at one time?
It was a 10-year plan that the county put out, and the county plan was for 44,080 people. When we requested from Andy Fulham, he gave us 33,000. He downgraded, but that was, I don't know, just the way Hardyville is growing. Sun City's growing, but all of a sudden, if you look at it, Margaritaville is popping up. The Okeechobee precinct is really popping up, 38. 62 in Hardyville 1, which is Margaritaville. And, and I'll tell you the truth, with Hardyville 1, even if we split it again, we're going to have to split it again, because that polling place that we had is not going to be big enough eventually.
Well, when our 2020 census comes out,
Yeah,
that's going to be a huge asset in figuring this out.
Right.
We can almost graph it from that.
But no matter what we do, even in the number of places that we have, we've got to work on now. I mean, it's not a simple project.
Right. But we know, we got an idea what's coming.
Yeah.
Are you gonna get a committee to work on this 10-year plan?
It's up to the chairman for the committee, but I just think that right now, I don't want to be the one what I like to do is have everyone put something together. Doesn't matter what it is, and then maybe have a workshop or something like that puts it together and say, okay, now we have a basis to work on. I mean, I have my basis. I figure we're going to have 13 more precincts in 10 years.
Go ahead, Pam.
If we're going to have a 10-year plan, we need to design a format as to how we're going to do it, what is going to be included in that format. And I think that would be part of it, finding out what it is we want to do, how to do it, and what would be included and excluded in that plan.
Do we want to
have an
schedule a
outline.
workshop to discuss an outline for the 10-year plan?
Right.
Well, before the workshop, what I like to personally, what I like to see is everybody give their input, and then we may think of things that I may think somebody may think of things I never thought of, or nobody's ever thought of, like
But-
ADA,
to Pam's point, we could,
Absolutely.
other people could do much with the outline. If we
Yeah,
had
an outline.
then
That's
we
the way
could
to
come
go.
and develop this committee with you.
Well, if the
Another word
the
of
board
plan.
would like, I try to put something together as an outline of information, not the specific information, but the information that we should look at. Like, for example, precincts, how we're going to get poll workers, because there's going to be a bunch of poll workers we need. We're struggling now. What else? Well, whatever I think, I have to sit down and think about it.
So you're gonna draft an outline?
I'll draft an outline
Right.
and I'll put it out in an email, if that's okay.
We need to look at other counties, municipalities, whatever, who may have already developed
Mhm.
a 10-year plan
Mhm.
and look at what's in their 10-year plan to include it in ours and to, sort of fill in
Mhm.
places that we may not think of.
Or if their 10-year plan will be good for us here, we can look at it, sure, as to see
Right.
how they're doing it.
How they're doing
Yeah.
We've gone
their
through this
format.
once before, haven't we?
Yeah.
I mean, all this sounds like something we've talked about
Deja
before all of a
vu.
sudden.
All I want to do is, before I didn't get, the board has to have some emphasis to do this.
Absolutely.
Either you want to do it or you don't want to do it.
I think we need to.
I think it's important.
Because when we go, mainly when we go before county council for the budgeting, they need to be aware of what we think the population is going to be.
So
Because
John,
if you think about it, with 13, that's a lot more machines. And those machines, right now, we could put another, in the scanners, we cannot put any more in that room. I don't think.
Any other discussion on 10-year plan? John has already said he's going to send out an outline. We can get it and all of us kind of put it together and send it back to John, and then we'll at some point schedule a workshop, something a little informal. And having none, we'll move down to director's report.
Chairman and board members, in your packet is just for your information on ElectionNet. Again, I want to remind everybody to go on ElectionNet daily so you can see the updates of information that the state is providing. We're getting in some of our supplies. We got some additional blank ballot card stock today, so we can start doing some demonstrations publicly. And that same, we only ordered 1,000. We will get some more in because the town original election is November, and they already got about 1,300 voters in that city limits. Penny, Daly, and I are going to go over the registration list to ensure all the streets that needed to be annexed in the city is annexed. So we'll be ready for that election in November. And also in your packet, it was just a list, again, from ElectionNet, saying what items the poll managers will be responsible for returning to the office election night, things like the ballots, which will be in the locked blue box that comes out of the DS-200. Of course, the voted ballot cards, provisional ballots, emergency ballots, all spoil ballots, used cards and ballots. So it goes on, again, the various things that we'll make a list that the poll manager and clerk will check off election day to ensure that these items are returned as they should be. Also, in your package, it talked about ElectionWare, which is the software we're using. We use Unity with Avatronic. It's now called ElectionWare. That has been installed in our, I guess I need to call it ElectionWare room because it's not the Unity room anymore. So that's on the computer now. So we're ready for elections to be sent to us and download on our database system here. The state is going to be providing us with the following supplies to work with our equipment. We're going to have privacy sleeves. The express vote will sit on a desk. We will have a privacy sleeve separating those voting machines. The state is providing that. Again, I talked about the in-person absentee ballot envelopes until they come up with a plan on how we're going to deal with the in-person absentee. The state is going to provide envelopes that the voter will put their ballot in after they voted instead of using the DS-200 to cast it. We're going to have the landers for the poll managers and clerk. which will secure the keys that will be used on the express vote and the DS-200s. You will have the spoil ballot envelopes, which you will put a spoil ballot in. The state is providing that as well. And they're gonna give us labels to label our USB sticks, which goes into the express vote and the DS-200. And then we'll have a pouch to put that stuff in as well. So again, all of that is just for your information. In your packet, you got the 2020 election calendar. Please read the calendar. Time is coming up. Things will get done. They do not have the Republican Party primary listed on this calendar because it looks like we will not have that election February 22nd. The Democratic primary is listed, which is scheduled for Saturday, February 29th. So that's, again, the Democratic presidential primary. That will be our first election in the year of 2020. So we're getting things ready to start recruiting poll workers. So get the word out. Anybody that would like to be a poll worker, please get in contact with us so we can get them on our list. And when time comes for training, we can get them trained and prepared for the election. Also in your packet, Mr. Kemp had did a small flyer. I just enhanced it and made it larger, basically giving the 1, 2, 3 steps to our voters of how to use our voting machine. And I since gave you a flyer from the state that tells you how to use the voting system as well. Okay, so we have that posted in the office so the voters can see that. And anybody that needs a copy sent or emailed to them, we can gladly do that to them as well, so they can take it into the churches and the businesses in the Jasper County so the voters can become familiar on how to utilize our new voting system. We have a flyer here. We're going to put in the newspaper to request poll workers, as we did in our previous elections. Also tonight, I gave you from ElectionNet, there is a 1-minute video of the voting system. It's an education video that you can look at. So in your free time, go on there. It's on scvotes.org and it demonstrates our voting system as well. That's it. In your packets, I gave you your numbers tracking. It identifies all the training that you've taken up to date for your certification with the state. Mr. Ozello, in your packet, you have a list of everyone, all of us, our trainings for your information to have. Total registered voters, as of September 1, 2019, we have 19,626 voters, on an increase of 163 since the June 27th report that we had last. I have the letter that we're sending to the delegation. It was in your packet as well. If I can get your signatures before you leave here tonight on that, I'll pass it up there now. You can sign. And last night at the delegation meeting, we had Senator Bright to appoint individuals in the 3 vacancies that we have on the board. And tonight, Ms. Rhonda Edwards was one of the appointees to the board. And once we get her letter from the governor, then we'll follow the protocol. And Ms. Cheryl Dobson, she used to work for the Jasper County School District. She's in the Beaufort County School District. Ms. was a retired school teacher, I believe 35 years in the system. Various counties, Jasper, Hampton, and other counties as well. And Mr. Anthony Canick. Anthony Canick. He is retired from the Beaufort Jasper Water Authority. Okay, and again, once we get those letters from the governor, I'll let the board know so we can set up the swearing in. Any questions?
Yes. Just making some notes here. Now, when I spoke to you at the top of last week sometime, you said you will no longer be doing sending names or anything for the board to be trained, that your Rosemary will be handling everything as far as training is concerned.
When you want to go to classes, travel, contact Rosemary.
Okay, so we should not contact you, but contact
That
Rosemary.
is correct.
Okay. Something else
If you send it
Okay.
via email, just make sure I'm CC'd on it.
Now, on the flyer that you plan on putting in the paper, how many times will you be doing this?
I usually just run that ad one time. You know.
And would this ad be the same size as this 8x5 here?
It probably will not be, it'll probably be smaller because we want to also include the application
Mhm.
that they need to fill out.
Do you have any applications? Because I have some people who are interested in becoming poll workers.
No.
So I think that we had some application at one point.
I can email you.
Would you do that for
I
me,
will.
please? And also,
Can I expect just 1 second?
sure,
I
is it-
think what I like to do is have those printed out somehow, print some more of them and give them out to people, and you can put them in the churches and areas,
Mhm.
go to the stores, and we just spread them around. The more we put them out. Papers are one thing, but I think if you go into a store, or you go, I tell you the truth, I think the best place is to go to the dump, put them on the dump, because that's where everybody goes.
And would we be able to put this on Facebook and those other places where people frequently go to?
You're going to put, I mean, we don't have a Jasper County Facebook page for
Mhm.
voter registration.
We don't have nothing like that.
We have a Jasper County voter registration website.
Okay, we'll be putting that on that, we'll be putting this on there also.
Yes, ma'am.
So we have two media now. That's the newspaper, actually more than two. That's the newspaper and then Jasper County webpage. And then we'll make some more up so we can distribute them in the community at churches and local stores. Okay, and who will be doing the duplication on these?
I mean, you can duplicate them, I can duplicate them.
Or we'll come to the office
That's
and
fine.
have them duplicated?
Yeah. Janine, Pam has something she'd like to ask about this letter.
Okay.
The formal format for this lettering going out, it says board members. The board members should come first, then you, then Rosemary, not the reverse.
Oh, the signature part of it?
No, the top where.
The first
And the
paragraph.
signature part also. But the top of it says, the election and registration, board members. Then your name is first and then Rosemary. Whereas it should actually be the board members and then you and then Rosemary.
And we had this discussion once
Yeah, I
before on
understand.
how things are supposed to go, but
Right.
I'm,
Where it says board members on the top of the letter.
so
oh,
Jasper
the list
County,
of names.
The list of
Oh,
names,
okay. I thought you were talking
You
about the
and
body of the
Rosemary
letter.
should be, Joe should come first,
Right.
and the other board members,
Mhm.
then you and Rosemary at the bottom. The same thing with the signatures at the bottom. You should be the last signature, and Joe, as chairperson, should be the first.
Was there anything else in there that you?
No.
And Rodney, did you
want
have a
that done
chance to
before
read the
this
whole
letter
thing?
go out?
oh,
I
yeah.
read it, I didn't see
Mhm.
anything wrong with it, but I want everybody else to read it, to make sure.
Well, it was
Yeah.
passed. It was passed. We passed it last time. It was supposed to be, there were corrections made, and then we were supposed to go in during the week or during the month to sign it. So,
So,
I mean, it could be-
nobody signed it.
Nobody.
nobody signed it because it wasn't available because there were changes to be made.
And still changes are to be made.
Well, that is, I guess, I don't know.
Some changes.
Yeah, so those
That's
simple
all.
changes, but I just want to make sure before we give it to Janine and then bring it back
Mhm.
and then bring it back again, that we don't have any other changes.
I don't have a problem, but
And I know you've made the point that the flow of that should be different.
Yeah.
Does that outweigh like I said, I like to go ahead and sign it, but if you feel strongly about it, we'll certainly,
Yeah,
I feel
bring it back.
strongly
Yeah.
about it.
okay.
I want you to always. come
Now,
first.
this, on the second page, I think that this bill went to the delegation before, right? In reference to the precincts. This
The
is,
delegation drew up the bill. We don't
okay,
do
they
bills.
drew up this bill right here because I know
That is
Mr. Kemp and had a letter written and that had went to the delegation as well.
No, that
Okay.
was,
That was on the
I started the letter, then it was revised, and the board did the revision. I started the whole thing by saying we should at least tell the delegation what the cost of the problem, the cost of delaying this was to us, which is $5,700, what was $5,700?
6, 7.
$1,400, I guess, was 14,000, something like that. Whatever the dollar amount was, 11,000, whatever.
11,004.
So all I said is we should, as a thing, say, let them realize that there was a cost to them not doing it.
Okay, okay. So now, when the first letter went out, the cost was not associated with the letter.
There was never a letter sent out. This is the letter.
Okay,
This
but I recall before, I know I have to search my records, but I recall before that we have dealt with the division of the two precincts, divided up the precinct. I recall
We-
that.
This
did-
letter is different.
We
Okay,
did
The
send a
first letter
letter.
was
we're not dealing with the
requesting
same
a split.
precincts?
The first letter was to request splitting those two precincts.
And what was their
And this
response
letter
on
is
that?
pertaining to the fact that they did not split it. We're accruing a cost to purchase additional DS-200s that we could have not accrued had they split the precinct.
Okay, this is our second letter.
Correct.
I just want to be clear on this. This is not the first letter on this. This is the second letter. And the second letter is about the costs that were associated with this if we don't, if they don't sign off on it.
Well, they have, they
They have,
did.
Yeah.
And we're just kind of letting them know, and it'd be nice if they said, well, we understand the state would have given you these machines, but being they didn't, maybe we could help you purchase them because we feel like we need the machines. Now, that's just a letter we sent to them,
Okay.
and,
May mean nothing, it may mean something.
And so, Ms. Williams made a recommendation on how the names should be written on the letter. I'm in agreement with that.
well, at the next meeting, we'll have it, and hopefully, but if, I would encourage everybody to make sure that they've read it. We've already approved it, except that flow.
Right.
And I just want to make sure that once that's done, we can go ahead and sign off and get it headed down the road. Janine, do you have anything else?
Do you have any more?
Yeah, in the future, we should, the board, the chairman of the board always comes first on these letters. And so, I'm not going to discuss that anymore, but I think this is about our second time discussing this.
No, ma'am,
First time?
first time.
Go ahead.
Janine, I just got several questions. On the poll manager's return, it says unused ballot cards and ballots. What does that mean?
But you're gonna have some blank cards that.
I understand that, but that's ballot cards, but it says ballots, which means that there's something there.
The emergency ballots, the provisional ballots,
Well,
they'll
that's-
say,
But that's on the other thing. You go down to the bottom line, it says, after spoiled ballots, it says unused ballot cards, which I would say is fine, and ballots. That should be taken out of it. I mean, it listed up there, and then it says ballots. Ballots are actually the printed. It's just a thing. But anyway, I have more. Status of our office.
status of our office.
Just bring that up. I talked to Andy last night about that.
Did he tell you that he's speaking with council Monday night at the meeting?
Yes.
Pertaining to that, okay. So,
So if you would just bring everybody up to speed on that. We have a third office too.
yes, we do. When they start renovation, we will have the current office, Escobel's office, and Boudaganis. They're gonna merge them together. Again, Andy's gonna speak with council Monday night to make them aware of this process. Again, I have no idea when they're gonna start the process.
Easy Vote,
Easy Vote,
whatever that program we bought.
our poll workers program.
How is that going?
We've put all the workers in the system, so they're in there. We're gonna have to scan to put the new voting system in there. So once we start pulling them out, we start scanning them into the database for keeping track of that as well.
The voter van, we're getting a voter van, or is that still
We're
on?
getting,
a van?
Well, I talked to Andy about a van. They mentioned an old van that Dale had back there, which would require some work. So I haven't heard any more of that, because like I told him, it needs to have a lift, okay? Because nobody's lifting up a DS 200 to put in, because that's a passenger van that they have. It's not a van that has again, a lift.
The Hardyville absentee office.
The absentee office, me and Kendall are going to get together when I come back from vacation. I'll be on vacation next week. For me to look at that chambers area to see if we can even utilize it. Because if we're going to do it once a week as an office itself, we still need to have security where individuals can't come in on us. And as a precinct, I need to see, because she wasn't there when I went down there that Tuesday, to see how the setup would be for us as a precinct for absentee voting.
Personal opinion is not the best, but it's better than, in fact, it's better than what we have in our own office. But anyway, the school letter.
The school letter
I think you had correspondence on that.
pertaining to the students,
Students.
I have not gotten any response from the superintendent. I spoke with the chairwoman of the school board and told her that the 2020 election will not affect our kids because it's a presidential, so they would very well be out of school. But we did want to get something pertaining to that if it's election going on during school time, that those kids would be given some type of credit. We have not gotten anything in writing on that.
Okay, and one of the last things is delegation. You asked a question last night. Would you bring this up to back on that?
I asked the delegation about amending that school board law to mirror with the state law for petition candidates that they needed to file by July 15, 12 noon. They made a comment about there was some issues about whether to do petitions or not do petitions. And I expressed that we really weren't concerned if they do or don't do. Our main concern was to ensure that the date is amended in the law, you know, so we can again be under the state's law.
When you were talking about the ballot cards, when I was in training, there was specifically said that each election has a different size ballot card.
That is
Is
correct.
that still correct? I mean,
That is correct.
So
and
we
it's
can have a
identified.
stock of 17-inch and we have to use 14.
The state is going to mandate 14 inches, so that's what I have in stock.
Okay, but then it could be 17-inch. It depends on the ballot itself.
Well, they will notify us
Right.
if that should be the case.
I just want to make sure everybody knows that we can't have a stock of just one. We have to have a stock of a few of them. And on the next meeting, I'd like to have if you would, get the budget for 2018, 2019, the final, what costs were associated.
What our budget,
Yeah, our budget, what the final outcome was in the budget.
Yeah, what was spent
what
and
was
what is
spent
left
in
over.
2018,
Right.
2019 budget.
And the first quarter of this year, which would be September.
You finished, Mr. King?
That's, I'm finished.
Mr. Chair, so I noticed that the office have new furniture. Could you talk about that for a minute, Ms. Fawcett?
Yes.
You like it?
I think I told everyone that our new furniture is in. We love it. Everything is well. I have one piece, a backboard, it's supposed to be under my hutch set that is coming in. They didn't have it in stock, so I'm waiting for that to come in. But everything is in place, and again, we love it, and thank you.
Now, I want to say, excuse me, Mr. Chairman, just one other comment is the office looks 100% better than it did when I first started. It's cleaner, better, and we're better once we get something done, other
Exactly.
things done, but there's a lot of work's been in there, and we need more room. That's about it. Thank you.
Well, and that has been accomplished because I think you're gonna be expanding once they start doing
That
it.
is correct.
One question, testing, have we gone over that?
Oh, well,
The testing has been completed. I sent out an email, I believe yesterday or Tuesday,
mhm.
that it was finalized, and the state does have the totals of our list of our voting machines and their serial numbers and everything as well. So again, we're ready for individuals that want to come in and want to demo the voting system. They're welcome to come in. The Mont Carmel Baptist Association is having their association the fourth Sunday in October, and they've already asked that we bring out machines to demo out there, so we'll be doing that.
Mr. Chairman, on those machines, are we gonna have some kind of, do we bring out more than one machine, or are we just gonna limit it to one machine, or, I'm just,
Will we go out in the public?
yeah.
Oh,
Because I think we should be doing that, bringing it out to the public. But I think we should keep in mind in the back of our head that we're gonna have to deliver not just one machine, we're gonna deliver 10, 15 machines to a precinct. And we have to deliver 17 scanners, or 16 scanners, plus 17, 18 scanners. I mean, it's a practice for us when we bring them to these places to see what problems we have, so when we do start the big deliveries, we have some kind of history.
Well, any demonstration that I do, like the association, it's a large congregation, we'll probably have 2 express votes out there and just the one DS200. But any churches, we'll just take the one express vote and a DS200.
And we have the transportation and the truck and everything to take
Well, we
these.
would have to break it down because we don't have the transportation.
Mhm.
If it's going in my truck, it'd have to be broken down.
And John and I were at the office and helping Ms. Borsig out just a little bit, but I can tell you that was a job. You have to do multiple steps in getting those machines certified. And
Do you
so-
see any problems with these machines that we need to get ahead of? Everything's going to go smooth?
Everything's going good.
It's easy to do, because I can
It
do
is.
it.
Mhm.
But the problem I see is space.
Right.
Because if you spread them out, the way you set them up and take them down, it's a process. I mean, the program is not the problem, it's taking them out of the box, putting them up, getting them plugged in, getting them unplugged and put them back in the box. That will help when we get the soft cases.
Well,
And I think
I-
about smaller precincts, because we're using tables to set these machines up. So, when I come back, I'll be going to the precincts to see what tables they have. Places like Gilsonville Old School, I kept the booths, like 26 of the electronic booths, so they're empty. And we do have empty privacy booths that, in those precincts, we'll probably just use the booth. Because a table would just take up too much space along with the registration table at those smaller precincts. So some of the precincts, again, we'll just have booths out there to set that express vote in.
And from what I understand, you don't need, the laws kind of changed, instead of 3, it's now you can do a minimum of 2 of the express votes
Oh, you mean at the precincts?
at the
Oh,
precincts. So we do have extra on them. It creates
I
extra.
mean, the way I have it outlined right now, like our larger precincts, Sun City, Levy, and Granville too, I have 10 express votes going out there, and that still leaves the other 4, which is the total of 82 in absentee.
Now that we're not scanning at the in-house, can we use that scanner on the outside?
But we don't know that we're not scanning yet. And take my DS200 on the outside?
Well, I'll take now there's 2 DS200s. You have one yourself, and then there's one for the in-house.
Right? You're saying
Absentee.
wheel it outside?
Can you use that? Do you need, what happens on election day? Do you have to use 2 separate DS200s?
Well, yeah, you do have in-house absentee and you have the paper absentee that you'll be using. But you're saying wheel it outside?
No, what I'm saying is that since you're gonna put, the way it looks now is we're gonna take the ballot and put them in an envelope rather than, there's no voting until, the vote won't be not cast until the election day. So we don't need a DS200 there.
And you're asking?
Can we take that do we have to have it there on the election day? Do we need that DS200 separated?
Well, I can't answer that until the state decides
Okay.
how we want to use it.
I mean, it gets complicated. I guess I'm trying to bring it out that we don't know what we're doing.
You saying you want to take it where though?
Well, we authorized you to buy 2 machines.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And
Right.
this is a long thing. Well, if we don't need, if the state says we have to put them in envelopes, right? On election day, can we use the one DS-200 in your office versus the one that's going to be at the absentee ballot? Or,
That's my question. Use it where? Because we have the two extras.
well,
Put the
if
horse
we need
before the
it,
cart. The cart
I'm
before
going
the
to the
horse.
larger thing is if that's the case, then we don't need the two extra. We can go down to one, have the two,
okay.
and then purchase other things. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, well, we're going to slow
We can
down a
talk
little bit
about that
before
later.
Yeah,
and
this
and
is,
wait and see what they.
That's mute until we figure out what the
Yeah,
state.
yeah, absolutely. Now, the office is now open for the public to come in and board members to come in and be trained on the machine.
Not trained, to demo how to use the machine.
Okay, that's the sales thing, demo.
They're not
Yeah,
gonna be working, but yes, to
Yeah.
come in and, yes, demo the machine.
yeah, okay. The office is now open.
Yes,
For
Ms.
that.
Mayor, the office is now open.
Okay, good. I just want to make sure, because, people might be popping in at any different time.
Hopefully. I
They
hope
come next
everybody
week, make sure
gets
they
familiar
call,
with
because
it.
Rose will be there by herself, and she do go to lunch.
Okay, so she's training as well?
She know how to use the voting machine.
Okay.
Janine, did you have anything left on your director's report?
I have nothing, sir.
I have nothing for the chairman's report. I'm going to go down to board issues and concerns, and I'm going to go to Ms. Fair. You had something earlier you wanted to try to,
Oh, just, because, I think we had discussed this before, about, voter registration, in the rural area, the areas down in the valley there.
Mhm.
And I have a plan, and I will come back to you on that.
very good. Any other board issues or concerns?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Of course, I do. I think that since we have 3 new board members, that we schedule a workshop for just the board members to meet us, talk to us, ask some questions.
Okay.
And that was just a suggestion.
That must have been part of the last meeting, something who are the new board members?
We just went over them. Got them here someplace.
We have a
Rhonda
share-
Ellis,
Ms. Ellis is in the audience. She was appointed last night, right here behind me.
Oh, okay, that's what you were saying.
Yes, sir.
I missed what you said.
Okay.
I got you.
Okay.
Okay.
And again, your last name was Ellis?
Edwards.
Edwards, I'm sorry.
Rhonda Edwards.
Is he still on the board or?
She is not here tonight, but I know nothing different.
Anyone.
So we're going to end up with 5, 6, 7, 8,
9.
8.
We'll have a full board again, 9. And what'll happen if, I'm sure you're aware of this, Miss Edwards, but once the governor approves you and appoints you, then we're going to have a meeting and then we'll take care of everything from there. We'll get a letter from the governor placing you on, and at that point, you'll be sworn in and you will be a member of this board. All right. Any other concerns? Having none. Topics for discussion at the next meeting. You had already mentioned one thing, John. I think he's asked you to put something on the agenda for next.
My during is computers. Bring up the need of computers,
Laptops?
laptops. I'm always going to bring up the absentee office. And we got to think about voter training and voter orientation. I would like to also include, and I guess I'm sorry, I should have gone on the other. I have a application here for the Hardyville, in November 6th, Hardyville has a, Hardyville and Main on Hardyville or something like that. It's going to be quite large. And, I like to have a booth down there. It's not going to cost us anything except somebody to be there. And some a table and a tent, and that's what it is. We have the signs, and I don't want, I have it already set up to go and everything like that, but I didn't want to do it without the board's knowledge and tactical approval, I guess.
Saturday or Sunday? You
It's
said the
Wednesday,
sixth. You said October,
October 20, November 1st and 2nd, excuse me,
Yeah, that's Friday, Saturday.
Friday, Saturday.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
my question is to Mr. Kemp. And so you said you have already have things set up?
No, I didn't do any, I just have the application, I have the application.
Okay.
It's not in there yet, it's not up to me to,
Well,
it's a board
we understand
situation.
that. But when you said that you want a tent and all of that, so you asking the board to rent the tent and everything for you?
I don't know what the board, I'll get a tent, I got a tent someplace I can get it. I can get everything myself. I mean, it's-
And this is kind of similar with what you would
Yeah.
want to do, and maybe if it mirrors where the two,
Uh-huh.
and just same thing at different locations.
are you
Great.
gonna be doing the demonstration?
I would like to.
And
Demonstration.
you're gonna have one voting machine
Have
and one
one voting
disc?
machine there.
Okay.
Does anybody have any objections to what John is suggesting?
I have no objections, it's just the time, because I understand if we have the table, we have to be there the entire day. And I believe on Saturday, it's from 11 until 9 o'clock in the evening.
Well, after, I'm telling you the truth, after, I'm not gonna be there at 9 o'clock at night because, and that's with the entertainment, which is,
11, say 11 to 5, we're going to have someone.
Are
I'll
you doing
be-
it both days or just the one day?
Friday is in the evening,
Are you doing it Saturday mornings?
be
Saturday morning. I haven't worked it out yet, but I will.
Saturday, would-
I don't wanna go through all the work without getting approval beforehand.
But no objections to this?
right.
Because it's going to be the same thing you're going to be
Yeah.
doing. And frankly, if anybody else wants to do it, I think it's a great idea. So I'm
What's
going
the
to say
name
to
of the,
John,
what's the name of it?
The Hardyville, what is that? The Hardyville.
No, it's, Hardyville on Main.
Hardyville on Main.
so I'm going to say with the board's approval, John, just continue with the, with that event. Any other topics? Discussion.
I need the board to determine, the poll workers. They need to start coming in, probably October sometime or December, the 1st of December, to get firsthand experience on these machines, especially if not all of them, at least the clerks and the polling location technicians come in and get some type of training outside of our certification training for the election. Because again, the first election is in February, but I don't want that to be the first time that they lay hands on these systems. So if the board consider bringing in the clerks and the polling technicians, I don't know.
Now, is this going to be a voluntary thing, or are we going to have to
That's
see if
my
we can
question.
find some?
Do we want them to
funding?
volunteer? Do we want to pay them?
I remember we asked
something.
for some money for extra training because we knew we were going to have to do some extra training. Did we
Did
get
we
any
get that
money?
money?
We got money.
We did?
We did.
We do have money.
We have
No,
money,
no,
but
no,
it's
that's not
extra.
what we're talking
I
about.
know, can I finish?
Okay, go ahead.
We do have money. The, council is aware of additional training, so if we don't have what you're asking, we can give the council and get our budget amended.
Okay,
I don't
wonderful.
know
They have
what we
agreed to
want
that.
to pay them, so
So we're talking, if we do just clerks, we're talking about 15, 14 people.
if you bring in the clerks, you want to bring in the co-clerks, so you're talking
30.
30 with that, and with
Ish.
the polling technicians. If you want to use 3, so you're talking 30,
So,
35 people.
okay, so 35 people. If we can't do it on a voluntary basis, what's the suggested
Okay.
Pay? What do they get for their normal training?
The normal training is $60.
So 60,
Times 30. something you said?
yeah, so we're-
2,100,
30 times
60 times 35.
35.
who's over our money right now?
I didn't hear you.
Who's over the money now?
Kim Burgess is out, the
Kim.
finance director.
Okay. Can we, do you think that's something worth discussing with them and seeing if we can get that approved?
Okay.
If everybody agrees to,
Well, I have a question on that.
go ahead.
When we were at the last county council meeting, I know I got up and asked for additional money for poll workers. Now, this is my first time hearing that the director has heard from them, saying that if we do not have enough money, or if we need more money, county council would be able to make up for the money that we don't have for the poll
Amend our
workers.
budget,
I can't hear you.
amend the budget. to
They would
reflect-
amend the budget. That's
And-
really good, because I'm so glad to hear that they seeing that. It's very important that we give poll watchers a little bit more money for getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning and returning at 7 o'clock at night. So that's good news to me.
I would like to point out, we're talking about two different issues, so